right, you guys, we are finally ready to get this shed that is now into a tiny home ready for printing. First thing you want to do is make sure you have recently saved your work. If you just opened it up, obviously everything is saved. You can see that I have a variety of tabs open for my project because I haven't really closed out my tiny home since I started recording. I have my floor plan tab open. I have my 3D view tab open, and I actually opened up a couple of things called elevations, and those won't be necessary. I was just kind of scoping out my plan from a couple of different views. This is what they would look like if we were to like roll out our plan flat, standing up. This would be the front door, and this would be the north wall, or the wall with my sliding doors. I also created a copy of my 3D view of my tiny home, and I hid the roof because I wanted to get a better view of my kitchen. So if this is something that you guys are interested in finding out, please let me know. If you're in class, you can send me an email, a GoGuardian chat, or you can ask me in person. Otherwise, if you're watching this video on YouTube and you're curious how I did that, put it in the comments. All right, so here's what we need to do. I have this file open from or this file created because I'm essentially re-editing, but you can see in this drawing view that this piece of paper is just no longer big enough. My plan is now falling off of my paper, so I actually have to start again from scratch to recreate my drawing. So I'm going to close out this tab, and I'm actually going to go to my my project browser, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click on the little teeny plus sign next to Sheets, and I'm going to delete that sheet. To do that, I two-finger clicked if I'm on my trackpad. I did a right-click if I'm using a mouse, and a menu came up. Please make sure you do that on the words, not on the white background. And now I'm going to just delete that piece of paper. So that drawing is now gone. And I'm going to make a new sheet from scratch. So I'm going to, again, right-click if I'm on a mouse, two-finger click if I'm on a trackpad, and I'm going to create a new sheet. My new sheet that I need to create is going to be a bigger piece of paper, and it's not a piece of paper that is currently loaded into this particular file. So what I need to do is click on Load, and I defaulted back to my Windows because that's the last thing I loaded. So I'm going to go into my US Imperial folder. I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the list because it's alphabetical, and I'm going to open up my folder that says Title Blocks. I'm going to open that up, and the size paper that we want to choose that will fit this project best will either be a C or a D size paper. For my students, if you're doing this in class, I need you to open up the size D paper, and I need you to click on Open. Size D paper is actually the biggest paper we can choose to print with, so we will use this size D paper later on in the quarter as well. Now that I have that loaded and it's selected, I'm going to click on OK. And it's saying, hey, you haven't saved in a while. I might as well do that. I'm going to click on Save. All right. Now, before I start moving any of my plans in, I always like to double check to make sure my current floor plan is in the right scale and my 3D view that I want is also in the right scale. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm in my 3D view, I am going to actually hide those horizontal lines from my current view. Just helps my plan look a little bit more professional. So here's my floor plan. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I make a box, two-finger click on a trackpad, right-click on a mouse, go to Hide in View, and I'm going to hide all those elements. Again, this just makes my whole drawing look way more professional. For those of you who have seen that pro tip for printing video, I show you how to do this in that pro tip video. It just makes everything look so much nicer. Okay, so I've taken a couple moments and I've hidden that. Now the next thing I need to do is make sure that this is currently in 1/4 of an inch equals a foot. I know that it is by looking down at the bottom, 1/4 of an inch equals a foot. Now if you are trying to conserve ink when you're printing, please leave your print on what we call visual style hidden line. Notice that I'm right by my 1/4 scale. If you come over here and you tinker with some of these other ones, anything that's actually shaded blue is actually going to be printed in color. So that looks a little neat. I really like how my furniture pops when I choose this shaded view. I wouldn't recommend printing in realistic. It just doesn't look real great. It doesn't look very architectural. Consistent colors also is another top favorite of mine, but typically I like to print in color. Hidden line was our default. Don't try to print in wireframe. It just gets a little messy. I'm going to go back to my consistent colors, and then I'm going to check out my 3D view, check to make sure that this is in the right scale. I'm not sure if I'll be able to upscale it to 1/4 of an inch equals a foot, so I'm going to currently leave it at 1/8. And I'm going to leave my current visual style of shaded with edges. This is really my favorite one when it comes to this style, this 3D isometric. I want to make sure that I am on that front right corner and I'm zoomed in. Notice when I did that, it did get a little bit bigger. When I just clicked on that front right corner, I got a little closer. So I'm glad that I did that. Okay, now I'm ready to drag everything in. I'm going to go to my sheet and I'm going to scroll, or I'm going to go over here. Be really careful. Lately, I've been seeing students move in their ceiling plans by grabbing the floor here. Make sure you're under floor plans. I'm going to click on that floor, click, hold, and drag, and then release your mouse. And you'll see once you do that, bam, you have your floor plan. Now you might be thinking, oh my gosh, that looks really little. We have a way larger piece of paper that we're working with now. So my tiny home is just not going to fill up as much space. Now that I have my floor plan in, I know that for sure I'll be able to change my 3D view to that larger scale. So I'm going to do that before I move it in. I'm looking for 1/4 of an inch equals a foot. Where did it go? Here it is, right under my cursor. And now I'm going to go back to that plan and I'm going to go to my 3D view. I don't want my copy because that's my one without my roof. I want my 3D view. I'm going to click drag and I'm going to slide it in. I'm going to let go. I'm really happy that I updated that scaling because otherwise it would have been really little on my giant piece of paper. Now because I have space, because I did make this one, I'm going to leave this one on 1/8. I'm going to leave my roof off and I want to show you what that will look like when I bring that in. So I'm going to grab that 3D copy. I'm going to click drag and slide it in. And now I have my 3D view of my home. Really am happy that I did that. It is a little bit different of an angle. So that's really interesting. I wonder what would happen. All right. Sometimes it changes. If I tinker with that, it changes here. It didn't do that today. So I have my roof gone. I have my roof on. I have my floor plan. And I do have this space over here. I don't know if I want that one. I think I kind of want a picture of my front door. I know this is going to have to be on a bigger scale or it's going to be real little. So I'm going to change that to my other common scale. Whoops, wrong tab. And now I'm going to grab, that was my east view. So I'm going to go to my elevations, click and slide. I'm going to let go. And here is my east view. And look at it, it's giving me these nice little pointers like, hey, do you want to make it look really nice and aligned? Yes, I do. So now I have an elevation, I have a floor plan, I have a plan 3D inside my tiny home. I have my tiny home with my roof on it. I have my elevation. Last thing that I really need you to do for this project is I need you to update these 3 items because I plan to print these for all of you. And if these 3 items aren't printed, it's really hard for me to tell who they belong to. So most important, type in your owner name. Next thing for your project name, this is our tiny home. All right, let's try that. So I'm going to type in tiny home. It just does not want to type a capital T. There we go. And then my last one, unnamed. This is where I always encourage students to type in the name of our class. So green architecture. And then hit enter. Now when I go to print, I have my name and I know what project I was working on and I know what class I was working on this project in. So I'm almost ready. I'm just going to hit a quick save, and now I have this print ready. For this is a summative assignment. You are not, I repeat, you are not going to take a screenshot of this and turn it in on Schoology. In our next video, I'm going to show you how to turn this into something called a PDF, and that will be your summative item that I will grade in Schoology. So stay tuned.